Hey everybody, how's everybody doing this morning? Welcome to my photo editing live stream where you can submit your images before the stream starts, ideally. And I edit your pictures here live using Olympus Workspace for Olympus cameras, and then any other cameras, Nikon, Fuji, Canon, I use Lightroom. And also, I do some photo critiquing along the way, make some suggestions. I think that's probably a better way to say it rather than critique. I just like to make a few suggestions or how I would do things if I were taking that same image. Sometimes, and but for the most part, you guys are excellent. You guys do a great job taking your photos, and hopefully, you learn a couple things along the way for editing or get some different ideas um, about how to edit your image. And also, I put my image out there for you guys to edit and send back, and I like to see what you guys do with my photo. And I try to pick relatively challenging photos that have some potential. These are photos that I didn't really edit myself or struggled with personally, and I've always been impressed with what you all do with the photos. And I see a lot of people here. Good morning, Scott and Corna and Ann. Good to see you. And Jeff, awesome. Randy's here. Um, And just a note, I may do Jonas and Victor. Good to see everyone. Matt, I will, and I'm just looking at my screen over here, but I may do a second live stream today, where, like a photo chat. We'll see how I feel after this, but as many of you know, you've been following me. I've cut way back on my streaming, not because I didn't enjoy it or want to do it. It's just uh, I've been getting a stiff neck, and it's taking a while to heal, but I'm definitely on the mend. Yesterday was really good. I only had to take one ibuprofen yesterday for the whole day, and the rest of the day I just kind of wore a neck brace, which just kept my neck straight and my posture good. And that ultimately that's the issue, right? Is posture. But anyway, we're not here to talk about that. Let's go ahead and switch over to the screen. And oh, Annette walked in. Marcel, good to see you. And start editing. Um, See, I'm very rusty, even though I streamed just this past Sunday. I'm trying to figure out what button. I should get one of those little like dedicated button switchers that live streamers have. I'm just very cheap sometimes when it comes to some tech. I think it's, yeah, this one. There we go. Awesome. I'm a little bit, let me adjust my screen just a little bit. Where's my mouse? Here it is. Just enough so you can see me chit-chatting, right? Oh, hey, Des, how are you? All right, let's see. First up, we have one here from Mike Slater. And also you'll notice, let me expand this if it will let me. It doesn't matter. But a lot of times when you upload your files, if you can include a description by renaming the file, so you would rename the file either critique only, like you don't really want me to edit it, you just want some ideas, and then maybe something about the location or any other thing you want to put in the file name. Um, it's kind of like Twitter, you get up to like 200 and some characters to put in your file name, but it's optional. But I always get to see who's sent it in. That's put in automatically by Google Drive. All right. Okay, I'm gonna sit back a little bit because ultimately, this problem I'm having with my neck is my posture when I sit down and edit. And I think everybody can see and hear me okay, right? Am I live? Does everybody see me? Just put in the chat section that you can see me before I start editing. So let me try to let's look at the EXIF data first. EM1 Mark II with a 7 to 14 f2.8. We're at 9 millimeters f8. Yeah, all good settings. I would have probably done F8 is good. I've noticed. Well, that's a topic for another discussion, I guess. There's a little bit of an echo, right? Yeah, because I don't have the mic like right up to me like this. Let me see if I can move it a little closer or higher. Hold on. There. That should sound a little better. Okay. Yeah, this is the right mic. Okay. All right. So I'd have probably done F5.6, but really it doesn't matter. But that it gave me another stop of ISO to capture a little more dynamic range because this is a pretty high dynamic range scene. I'll throw in my timer here. Oops, let me check one or two other things. I'm sorry. All right, good. Now I can see what's going on. So we have a good composition here, I think. It's just the subject itself is the bridge. And it looks, clearly I think we're in golden hour. It's interesting. Must be some trees right behind you because there's a lot of shadow here. And then it's very bright here. So I think the first thing I'll do is just try and balance the picture a little bit in terms of exposure. So I'm going to bring the exposure down. Maybe, yeah, let's do 2/3 of a stop just to bring in the main subject in. And then I'm going to change the gradation to auto. Hey, Garrett, how are you? You're at work? All right, so auto gradation is really good at bringing up shadows without blowing out the highlights. And from here, let's do, and the colors are complementary here, right? We have gold and blue. It's just there's a little bit too much foreground here, but this is interesting too. I like these rings in the rock. So I think what I'll do is I'm going to keep the left side because the left side's very, very heavy in terms of balance. And then we'll do a little bit of straightening maybe. So let me try a vertical. So we'll keep this the standard ratio. Just come over here. With bridges, I usually like to see both sides, but I'm a little torn about what the subject should be. Should it be all this really interesting information about the rocks and the bridge, or should we go with the symmetry of the bridge? I'm going to go with the rocks and just because the good thing about our eye is we naturally know what the other side looks like. And unless there was something super interesting on the right side of this image, um, there's really no reason to keep it because we can extrapolate from the left side what the right side looks like. And maybe a square crop, maybe. Um, that may help with some of this because the angle you're shooting at is and let's see, maybe a little less rock. See how that looks. Yeah, that's not bad. That gets us in a little closer so we can see more details. And I'm going to try and crank up the color. Let's try some vivid. Maybe we'll pull the exposure down just a hair more. And then see if we can get some details in. Turn off this filter. Noise filters tend to smudge details a little bit. It's very, very subtle, but sometimes you can. All right, let's pull this in. And then maybe some of the midtones a little bit. Okay. That's looking a little bit too rich. I'll go back to natural. And also, in the chat section, if you guys want to leave some comments about the image or what you like or don't like about it, make some suggestions as well. We'll sort of create a little think tank here for each image, right, from everyone, and make suggestions like John did about a square crop, which I think worked. Not happy with the highlight shadow. Let me turn off this timer. I do need to limit my time on each image, but I'm not sure this is really, if these colors are working for me. Let me just see what black and white looks like. That's not bad. And the haze and a touch of clarity. Okay. All right. That's not bad. Let's split tone it and call it from there. So let's keep that. We'll keep the skies just a hair blue, which most of it's up here. Let's add a red filter to bring the blue skies in a bit more. And add a slight vignette. You have to be careful with vignetting on skies. You don't want the vignette to look too obvious. And just that looks a little bit too cool. All right, let's do a before and after. Not bad. Maybe a slightly tighter crop. I think. I mean, the other option is super wide. Let me just look at a couple of quick things. I think this might be. Honestly, I think that's a little better. Just going wide, and then I have to. There's a true before and after. All right, so there's a couple different ways to crop it. The problem I'm having with the composition is it's very, very heavy on the left side. And I'm trying to balance that. I think going super wide balances. The square crop kind of balanced it, but then not really. It was still a little bit too heavy for me on the left side. And then going black and white sort of is optional, I guess. But I like how the black and white looks. I'm a big black and white monochrome fan, but I think that looks pretty good. All right, let's go to the next one. Wanderlust like the vertical crop better, huh? I see. Okay. Yeah, that was definitely an option. Let's see. We have one here from Scott Mumford. Beautiful seascape here. And these are always tough because your angle of view feels like you're pointing down a little bit, but what did we shoot with here? EM1 Mark II, 12 to 100 Pro, 24 millimeters, f9, negative 230V. I think that was a good call. All right, not bad. Fair, reasonable exposure, I think. There was no save in the sky though, right? It's very hazy. And there's some people down here. Um, and I think the idea was to try to capture some of this geometry of the steps. And I always try to keep the image, within the vision of what I think you are attempting to do without changing it too much. But the stairs just, yeah, harsh lighting, yeah. When it's hazy and you know, you're midday based on the shadows, right? It's either 10 a.m. or 2 p.m. in the afternoon. Um, but again, we have a balance problem. The bottom is very, very heavy. So I might crop all this out and just stick with just the seascape itself. Let's see. Yeah, I think that works a little better. And this gives a little perspective of information about where you are relative to the scene with having this here. Just my excuse for not being able to crop it any differently. All right. I think you dialed in the right exposure. So what we need to do is try to get a little more detail in this. Maybe some dehaze and clarity. Let's switch over to vivid again. I may have to back that off once I work with the tone curve. Oops, we're on the blue channel. Let's go to RGB. Just throw in a standard S curve. Let's do some gradation. And I don't really need to do it that way. I can just keep working with the tone curve. I wonder if I can just come in just a little tighter on the left side. Let's see. The challenge I'm having is this part of the image is not framing it too well, so I'm just trying to get a little separation. Okay, that's good. Let's warm it up a little bit. What's this eyedropper? Let's try this. See what that gives us. Yeah, it did look very cool to me. There. All right, let's see if we can accentuate the highlights a little more. So usually clarity is good at bringing the speculars up. Like I want to try and improve the speculars on the rocks and in the ocean. Yeah, I think the steps were just a little bit chaotic for me, and they did not have they didn't have the geometry or symmetry that normally you would do with any kind of physical structures. It might be a little too warm for my taste. I'm just going to go back to 8,000 and we'll call it there. All right, so there's a before and after. And yeah, I like the people on the beach. It gives a little perspective of the size of the scene and the crop. We could go super wide pano crop or there's a couple other options, but the main thing about the decision making here is that these stairs just don't have the right symmetry or geometry to make it interesting enough, right? Because There's only a couple of steps here, and then this is kind of awkward. So your point of view is not right. And then the shadows are just causing problems too. So getting rid of that clutter, basically, this is clutter now, uh, I think cleans up the image nicely to just what I think the feeling is of the scene. Because the pictures need to have some emotion and bring you into the scene like you were there. At least that's what I think. Okay, very nice picture though, Matt. Let's see. What do we got here? We have one here from Hasib Sakib. If I butchered that, I'm sorry. But let's see. Wow, this is a kind of a nightscape, right? Because we can see the lights from the homes. So I would have probably dialed in. Okay, what did we shoot with? EM10 Mark III with a kit lens at 14 millimeters f5, 2-second exposure, ISO 1600. So I'm guessing this was handheld because the horizon's crooked. So good job hand holding that. um, so you're really pushing the limits of how long you can hand hold something versus the IBIS and the camera. And Tony says the crop I did on the last shot would have worked with the steps on the left-hand side. Yeah, the steps on the left side were a little bit less cluttered, right? I can kind of see that. But okay, let's just straighten the horizon first. That's kind of the... I'll just put a line in here just to help me straighten this. Right there. Okay. And, oops. Ah, Wanderlust, I nailed it, huh? Oh, thank you. Is this your image, Wanderlust, versus your email name? Okay. I think a wide crop again would look good. A little bit tighter. Let's try that. Okay. I have a little bit of skewing. Oh, this is your image? Good. I'm glad you're here. It's always more fun when the person that submitted the image is here. All right, let's work with the white balance a little bit. It's a little bit warm, I think. I want to cool this off. Again, just to kind of get the mood. And let's go into gradation. All right, and there's a lot of noise reduction in this image. Is this a JPEG? No, it's a RAW. So let's check the noise filter. We're on standard. Let's turn that off. Okay. See, the noise is not that bad at ISO 1600, right? And you already selected vivid, but the colors are very muted still because it's not enough light, right? So I think, let me just punch it hard with a pop art filter and see what that does. Okay, that's not bad. And I'll just back it off. It's a little bit strong, but we'll back it off a little bit here. And give it a little more boost. Trying to think of a mood for this image. Okay. What do I have? About a minute. From here, I feel like I'm trying to find a story or a mood or a feeling from this by, because the most interesting thing is the brightest part of the image down here. But then the overall scene, right, with all the speculars and the lighting is interesting too. Let me just try vertical. I mean, my initial reaction was, a 16 by 9, but then all the action is right here in the picture. I think that's a little more interesting because because all this up here doesn't have much information. It's more like a backdrop to whatever the story is in the image, which to me is right here down in the very front. And that's what I want. That's what I want the viewer to focus on is go from sort of these smaller, one street that you can see relatively clearly to the density of everything else. So I think this works. All right. Here's a before and after, and so that's my logic, right? Is bringing the viewer into the story of just this one street, and then the rest of the town becomes a backdrop. Now this is filling up almost 1/3 of the scene. Then the backdrop is 1/3, and then the sky is about a third. We could probably use less sky even, but anyway, I think that's where I would go with this image. Um, okay, let's try. Oh, thank you, Wanderlust. You like that, right? So you got my rationale, right, of trying to make what would otherwise be just too much information, right, to down to what is it about the scene that made it interesting? And I felt like the story is down here, just one street, and you can see how tight everything is leading up to the rest of the scene. Okay. We have one here from Jose. And sorry if there's a little echo, but I need to lean back a little bit. Um, all right, Jose. So we have a street scene, and I think your goal here was to save the highlights, obviously, because you sacrificed the entire foreground in terms of exposure. So we have EM1 Mark II with a 14 to 42 at 25 millimeters at 4/1/1600, ISO 200. So I feel like, were you in manual mode? Metering mode pattern. No, you weren't. So the camera chose this setting. Because metering mode pattern is just averaging the entire scene to a neutral gray. So you didn't intentionally try to save these highlights. So I think I would have probably tried to save the highlights. Let's see. All right, let's go into gradation and see if there is anything here interesting. Maybe that's worth saving. But I don't think I can do it without. Let's see if I can save the highlights. Yeah, there's a lot of good highlight information left. Um, and we'll warm it up. But I do want to push the blues. Let's see. I can't do it here. Okay, let's add some. Let's see if we can get some speculars back in with clarity. Meaning like the speculars along this rail. And a little dehaze for the sky. And the colors are just so muted. I don't think there's any saving those. Even with a pop art filter, it'll just look kind of. I think the pop art filter will look really bad on this because the color information's, yeah, it's a little bit too strong here. The color information is just very, very weak. So these are down here. This is here. Wow, this is really dark. Look how low that is. So I'm going to put a pin here and just push it. See if I can push it a little bit. Ah, that's looking rough. All right. And I'm going to try vertical on this left side. And the horizon's pretty much split. So what if I go to the top side? Yeah. All right. All right, one last thing. I got 30 seconds, give or take. Let's try dramatic tone black and white. Give that a second to render. And a color dramatic tone. Oh, what's going on with the sky? And no filter. Yeah, I like this. Okay, I'm gonna go with this dramatic tone and just throw in my own sharpening, turn off this filter, and maybe back off this to haze. And we need to straighten a little bit. Just, okay. Maybe a slight push here. And where is my exposure? I pulled it down 2 stops. Because I was really trying to save the highlights. That's why I pulled this exposure way down, but yeah, I'll leave it there. All right, I'm gonna call it there because I have a lot of images to edit today. Um, so there's the before and after. Needs a little more straightening or something, but this is a really interesting shot, I think. There's obviously way too much on the bottom of this image, and with these high dynamic range scenes, you have to kind of pick your composition with relative to the light, right? So in this case, I would have chose the sky and then tried to, I don't know, capture. This is a tough shot. I would have probably just bracketed it so I could get a few more options with the image. But um, yeah, going vertical just gets rid of all of the bottom of the screen because there's a lot of dead space here on the right and a lot of dead space here on the left. Sorry. So just keeping it to right here. And the cars are interesting. They're kind of coming up a hill, it looks like. But okay, I think that works. Um, yeah, an HDR shot. If you want to do it in camera, you could do it like an HDR. That's true. All right, we have one here from Lauren. This is Critique Me. Okay, so we have a sepia, of course. Oh, I like this little pigeon right here. And the dog. Gosh, there's all kinds of interesting things. I love this shot. This shot is awesome. Um, the symmetry is slightly off. I feel like it might be an optical illusion because of the way the bars are coming down this on this fence. But I love this shot. There's so many things to look at, right? This bird caught my eye for some reason. Well, the hats caught my eye first. And then this bird, and then the dog. I don't like what's over here. This is a little distracting, and this is, but yeah, I love it. I would just crop it in on the right a little bit, top right, just to balance it. Because you see this center dot? I'd like this to be over the center of the bench. Something like this, even. But now it's too tight, right? Um, Something like that. Did I keep this centered? And a little bit of tilt. Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. Awesome picture. But that's the only change I would make. But I love the stories going on in here because you got these birds as part of the story, this dog, and then these people sitting here and then looking at the landscape. This is awesome. Um, everybody's everything in this shot has got a story to it that can get just keeps it very interesting across the board. And even the textures and the rivets in the bench. Um, and I think the depth of field and everything is perfect, right? What did you use here? EM10 Mark II with a 45 f1.8 at f5.6. Yeah, just dialed in a tiny bit of exposure comp. And there's a lot of latitude in this image, the way it's exposed. So you can really go a lot of different directions in this. Unlike the last image I had, I didn't have a lot of wiggle room to push the exposure in different directions, right? Um, so if I just do a simple um, gradation check and I want a low-key image, something like that, and then a vignette. But this is a great example of an image that the exposure is in a way that allows you to have some flexibility to get any kind of look or mood that you want. But I think the way you captured it, if I just reset the entire image, other than the crop, right, that I did, the way you captured this is perfect. Okay. Yeah, unfortunately, it's a JPEG, Tony. So all I can do is work with work with that. All right. But yeah, that's an image that has so many options to it. If you started with the color image, you could play with like selective color if you wanted to, depending on the color of their what they're wearing or the color of the birds. You could do old-fashioned, muted colors like an old 1970s Kodak film look. I mean, there's so many. It's like really a timeless image, I think, that Lauren has there. I mean, timeless because there's nothing in the scene that there's just nothing here that dates the image really, right? To me, this is a timeless shot. That's the other thing is it's nothing dates it either. Okay, let's look at Randy's, but it's a great shot. Where did it go? I think we're going here next. So I have one here from Joni, um, and let's see. We shot with a EM5 Mark 1, 40 to 150, the kit, and we're zoomed all the way wide to the 40 millimeter at 5.6. Yeah, all good settings. Standard metering. So clearly, this is interesting. You used the pattern metering in the camera exposed for the sky and silhouetted the trees. So I think I'm going to go with the left side of this on a vertical. And we're like 90% there. Honestly, maybe silhouette the bottom a little bit more. And then push the midtones back up. Just a little dehaze to bring some more definition in the sky. Not that much. And then I'll do just a clone stamp to get rid of these lights. It's too bad the top of this is cut off. I don't like this little gap here, so I'm gonna, since it's cut off anyway, let me just balance it a little bit. White balance is at 57. What if I warmed it up a tiny bit more? Yeah, a couple inches off the bottom. Yeah, I think so. I think Lauren's right. This tree on the right side is really, this is a little better. I got a little better framing here. What if I go here? Although the sky is not quite as interesting. Let me see. Well, I like how the roof line, I wish it would stop doing that. I mean, the right side works, but there's not quite as much detail there. And then the left side works. If we come in a little tighter, like Lauren was suggesting. So that's one way. I mean, and then Randy thinks maybe a wide shot. So this is the left side vertical crop. I think it gives scale to the trees, and we still kept most of the sky information, what was interesting about it. Um, let's let that render out real quick. Wow, my workspace is slow today. Yeah, I'll try a wide shot. I just want this to render first. I can see this little hourglass going up here. What's holding it back? Let me close this window. I probably don't need this one. You know, I get two Chrome tabs open and everything slows down. Yeah, that's looking good. All right, let's look at a wide shot, even though it's not done rendering. If we do that, no. I don't think a wide shot works quite as well because the trees are just too tall and I'd have to come down. Oh, stop it. No, Ellie's not helping. I don't like this too much. I'm not sure why. It's just the something is not right. I like the vertical I had originally. So I'm going to stick with that, which was right in here. As Lauren suggested, take off a little bit off the bottom. And let's do it before and after. No, Ellie's sleeping in her bed right now. The image hasn't rendered yet, so there's a little bit of grain in here. Um, Dang it, I wish it's still not rendered. I don't know why my workspace is so slow today. And then of course I warmed it up a little bit too, right? Okay, let me just take a minute while this renders to kind of sit back a little bit. All right, it's coming together. It's interesting why this is taking so long to render. I normally don't have this issue. I wonder what it is about this image that's making it so difficult. But anyway, it's about 90% rendered now. I think that looks good. Just slightly warm it up in a vertical crop and we're good to go. All right, nice shot, Joni. Let's go to the one here. We got Randy's. Scott. Workspace lost an hour too, huh? Look at this thing rendering. I wonder, do I have something else going on in the background? No, nothing's running. Okay, sorry. Why am I not? There we go. All right, we got another desert scene here from Randy. And EM1X 12 to 100 Pro, 16 millimeters at 5.6. Yep, all looks good. I would have done ISO 200. No reason to be at 100. Always shoot at the base ISO if you can. But other than that, looks good. And nice and sharp. Yeah, this is such an excellent combination. I mean, look at that. You can read like whatever this plate is here. If my eyes were a little better. But okay. What is this thing? This is some kind of machinery, or what's left it's like a stripped down piece of machinery. I don't know what this is. It's resting on a rim here and a pallet over here. Very confused. All right, let's go. The only compositionally, the only challenge I have with this shot, it's very tight on the right side. And then the horizon's cutting right through the main subject. So ideally I would have gone a little bit lower, a little bit higher. you know, just to kind of get the horizon not cutting through the middle of the scene. And because the right side is so tight, I I don't know what to do here compositionally. I won't have to work too hard on exposure. Oh, Matt, you're going out to pick up your kids. Awesome. We'll see you later, Matt. Thanks for stopping in as long as you can, or could, I should say. Let's try this. Because rather than deal with the very tight space on the right, I'll just cut it out and use this. And then the way the things are positioned in the frame, it feels crooked, but it's probably not. It's probably straight because you got all these different angles. And then you're shooting in vivid. I think actually a dramatic tone would really make this pop. Oh, but the clear sky with dramatic tone doesn't work too well. Let me see if I can pump this up a little bit. I'm not sure this is working for me. Hey, Plato, how you doing? Uh, Dang it. Not quite happy with what happened there. All right. Yeah, pop art is maybe, but pop art, this is kind of a desert scene. I'm not sure pop art is the right mood or feeling that I want. Um, Now this looks kind of cartoonish. I might as well do keyline if I want to do that. All right, let's forget about keyline. Let me try saturate the yellow, maybe. Um, but I'm leaning towards a more muted look personally. Yeah, keyline was awesome. I use keyline sometimes I did it on one of my photo walks at a Navy museum with the old naval museum where they had a lot of airplanes around, the jet airplanes. I am totally failing this edit. Uh, I'm just not capturing the mood. Yeah. Okay, let's put in a red filter. Oops. Ooh, that brought out the yellows. Yeah, I'm gonna have to move on, Randy. I'm just not having any success with this image. I'm sorry. A little bit less foreground. All right. Wow. Sorry, Randy. I could not make anything of this image. It's an interesting image. Actually, there's a jack here. It's an interesting image. There's a lot of things going on with this structure. Um, so the whole structure is okay, you know. I think, but I think I would have focused in on something else, like this jack and this wheel holding up this part, then frame something over here, and then I like this right here, like framing something here with this bush going into this plate, so you can read the plate. Um, Looking at the left side, there's just a lot of individual interesting things, but as a whole, like I kind of like this right here. I might save this yet, then go back to color. And some dehaze, if I can bring out the lettering a little bit. Oh, you had your noise filter on, Randy. Make sure you turn that off. All right. Um, I mean, you work with RAW and Lightroom anyway, so that's kind of irrelevant, I guess. I can bring out that. Just a little tighter crop. But yeah, this is kind of what I'm talking about, is like once that renders out, you'll see more detail. But this is what I mean. Yeah, you did end up taking individual shots, right, of individual parts of this machine. So I think that's a little more interesting image. Uh, and you have your 12 to 100, so you have lots of flexibility in the field with that lens to capture things 10 different ways, right? But I feel like this is kind of the direction I would have gone. Okay, compositionally, I would have made this entire structure a lot smaller, the entire machine a lot smaller in the frame, and then use more of the background and the landscape to kind of, give it some, uh, what do they call it, environment, right? Make it more of where is this thing in relation to the desert? Like, if there's a lot of stuff on the left and right side, that may not work. But if it's pretty much an open landscape with only this one structure, I would have probably framed that structure or that machine a lot smaller in the frame to kind of make it look more isolated against the backdrop of this desert. And that would have made it more interesting, I think. The way you have this now, um, there's just it's just filling up the whole frame. I feel like, yeah, it would have been more interesting to see it more isolated in the desert. But okay, let's move on. That was a tough one, Randy. Okay. All right, yeah, there's a hill here, right, Lauren? You're killing me with these hills. Because if I straighten this, all the trees are going to be crooked. Maybe not. I think I can get away with that. All right, 1 second. I need to turn my heater back on. Hopefully this will be the last few days that are going to be cold. Because it was really very spring-like, 60s, degrees this week, or up until today. And then we're going to have a couple days like in the 40s, below freezing overnight. But then I think by Saturday, Sunday, it's going to be nice and warm again. And that'll be it for winter. Yeah, the hills are alive. Yeah, I get that with the sound of music. This is really a nice picture. This is from Randy Sherrar. Wow, I like this. I'm not crazy about this tree on the right being cut off, but that's because I cropped it that way. Let me see if... See if I can save that somewhat. And are we focused in? Oh, we're focused a little bit midstream here. So the flowers in the front are a little out of focus. Let's try that. And if we pop it, ooh, that looks too fake. So we'll just add some saturation and bring up the midtones. Let's try a little bit of gradation. What camera was this? This is a EM10 Mark III with a 17. Yeah, these settings are fine. I'd like to make the oranges pop a little bit. Do I have an option here? Yeah. Let me... see if I can crank that up. And then shift them a little bit more yellow. Maybe not that much. Just a tiny bit. Okay, and some dehaze and clarity. Let's check our filters. It's odd, I don't have any noise filters here. Curious, well, how is this shot? I mean, this is a raw image, but look how limited the EXIF data is. There's not much here at all. Normally, like if I look at Randy's, right? Look at all the EXIF data. It tells me the exposure and everything. But it's very limited. Okay, I think we're almost there. Let me just push the midtones a little bit. And just keep a tiny bit in the blacks. And then I mean, this is actually, I think this feels like a JPEG image, the way, because look at the white balance. I don't know why says .orf, but this is more like a JPEG image, it feels like. Yeah, sorry, I set the, I'm sitting back a little bit, just in my chair, so the echo, it's going to echo a little bit. Let me switch over to a lav mic. That might be better. Oh, hey, Neo. How you doing? Let me see if this works. Yeah, mic in. That looks good. Testing. Nope. Testing 1, 2. All right. How does that sound? Is that better? Now I can lean back a little bit. Um, I appreciate that, Neo, for the super chat. Thank you very much. Um, okay, let's do a before and after on this one. So yeah, I just straightened the horizon, went with a wide crop, then fiddled with the colors and stuff as you saw. But this really feels like a JPEG image for some reason because of the lack of EXIF data and other controls. Um, that's what's throwing me off. Let me try and put the mic a little bit better position. Okay. And let's go to the next one. Okay, we have some kind of flower, I think, from John. Yeah, I'm all for a flat Earth. Let's look at some EXIF real quick. EM10 Mark III, 12 to 45, and center weighted, so it's measuring here, give or take. Okay. Yeah, sorry, Randy. The Earth is not flat. Okay. Composition. I got some problem. It's too tight here on the bottom. So I'm going to do a vertical, maybe a square. Yikes. Yeah, I like that. All right, let's see if we can save some of the highlights. And then we'll push the gradation back in. And let's try a little bit low key here. Yeah, this is all up in here. A little bit warmer. And a vignette. Then let's back off. Let's back off a little bit of the saturation. Sharpen things up, turn off this filter. All right, let's let that render out and see what happens. Just a hair too warm. Let's go down to 64. And if I can bring out a little more detail, I think I'll just call it from there. So let's do that. Let's do about a 2 and a 20. Maybe 3. Oh, it's interesting. This side is still overexposed and clipping. That's my problem with this image. All right, I'm going to call it there. All right, so just tightened up the composition a little bit. You know, the petals on this left side are just totally blown out, so that's why I tried to crop them out for the most part. And warmed up the image and just went a little bit low key on it, then pumped in some fake sharpness. And I think this is a little better shot, but the challenge again is that it's blown out down here on these petals. And this is a tough shot to get. This would have been a good shot to do some flash photography with. I mean, I know if you don't have your flash with you, you know, what are you going to do? Then if you don't have your flash with you, I would probably way underexpose this shot and go low key like I tried to do here on the right side so that I don't lose all this detail here being clipped out. Okay, let's go to the next one. But yeah, it's a nice image overall. Ooh, another, this is from Hadia Wiono. Let's see, Hadi Wiono Mugroho. Hopefully I got that right. And he shot with EM10 Mark II with a 17 millimeter, 1/40th of a second at 5.6. So yeah, again, pattern metering. So the camera just chose this exposure. And I don't think, see what's, yeah, everything is, this is all going to be crushed. So I'm gonna go super wide uh, with this one. Maybe 16:7. I do like the shades in the mountain. Balance that in the scene a little bit. Light tilt. Uh, okay. And this is a JPEG, so I'm not going to have a lot of wiggle room. But like I said, I kind of like this shading down here. This is an interesting, what is that, a train or a caboose or something there. So let's do that, and then we'll just tweak the midtones a little bit. And maybe a slight dehaze just to crush the blacks a little bit better without killing the midtones. And the white balance is perfect, I think. But maybe I can push the blues a little bit more. And then tiny bit on the brightness. Ooh, there's a little bit of a highlight here. Oh, that's not a train. That's some kind of building. That's interesting. I wonder. I wonder if I do something stupid. I'm just going to experiment. What if I do this? That was terrible. I just wanted to bring this out a little bit brighter. A little smaller. Let's see if that's noticeable. All right, never mind. It's something Lightroom would do very easily, but I'm going to call it right here. Uh, so, yeah, I like this. I think going wide was the right choice. And then just balancing out some of the shadows so you could see more of the depth here from one little hill to the next up to this whatever this factory is, or not a factory, that's a cloud on a mountain. That's interesting. Look at that. I thought maybe this was some cloud. It really looks like there's something pumping smoke out up here. It might be just a cloud. Um, I would have liked to get a little more light on this object or this house, but it is what it is, right? I think I think that that looks pretty good. That's an awesome shot. Okay. Oh, Najam, this is your shot. It says I was overexposed by 2 EV and I'm able to bring it back in post no problem. Or 1 EV. Yeah. Yeah, 1 EV. You could almost get away with 2 EV depending on the brightnesses here, but this came out okay. Um, there's a lot of ways to approach this scene. Again, I would have probably, bracketed the shot or done an HDR to have a little more flexibility. Oh, cool. This is from uh, Hadi Wiona, Hadi Wiona Nugroho. Nugroho, sorry. Um, oh, thanks, Plato. Oh, I love this shot. I would, I think I might just accent the reds a little bit and call it. The composition and everything, I think is a pretty good balance. I mean, sometimes like dramatic tone, yeah, that'll work. And just a slight tilt. So it's not yours, Naja, I'm sorry. A lot of times your screen names are different than your email name. Usually the name that shows here is is pulled from your email. Okay, so let's just a tiny bit more dehaze because there's a little bit of funkiness going on here and clarity. Illuminate the reds. How These oranges are a little bit. Trying to get rid of like this glare over here. Okay, that's enough, yes. Yeah, the green's a little harsh. I agree, Plato. Wonder if I can pull that back. There. Oh, and this is a JPEG, so I don't have a lot of flexibility, but I'm gonna crank in some of the blues. Definitely. And then let's pull the blacks in just a tiny bit on the tone curve. Where'd my tone curve go? I can probably do it with the haze. If the it's not doing much, do it with the tone curve. Okay, I think that's it. So there's the before and after. Uh, the dramatic tone kind of pulled these reds in here a little bit. It's a little distracting. Let me see if I can pull. I really can't. All right, I'm gonna leave it there. Uh, yeah, I like it. Little straightening. I think it was a good call on muting the greens out, and then a dramatic tone to kind of really make everything punch. I think that looks good. Little bit of a strong edit, but I think it came out okay. Good old Chevy Bel Air. It might be that the paint, it almost looks like this has like a specular, one of those what a glitter paints on it. So maybe that is actually in the paint. Interesting. This might be a glitter paint, or it might be just some defect in the image, but I wonder if this car has a glitter paint on it. Okay, my image. Ooh, you know, I've never seen this before, except in cartoons. I've only seen this in cartoons. That's really cool to see it for real though. Wow. So we need to get rid of this watering hole or whatever this is. And then balance this. Hmm. It's a wallaby. Oh, okay. I thought only kangaroos had the little pouch. It's such an interesting thing about nature. Just so many different kinds of things going on. Need a little bit of more warmth. Maybe a slight tilt. Wallabies are wannabe kangaroos. That's funny. Um, look at the eyes. Is this thing blind right now, and it's eventually going to get its sight, or do they just have red eyes? That's weird. I've never seen this like in real life. Like even an image of one in real life. Uh, we'll just crank up the sharpness a little bit. Maybe not that much. Let's try 1.5. I need something else here. I pushed this down too much. Let's go down here. It's just that this highlights are just a little distracting in the image. So either brighten everything else up and clip them. Let me try that. I can't do it. So we'll stay here and push it here. Okay, I'm gonna stop there. So there's a before and after. Uh, yeah, just basically I had to get that watering thing out of the way, and then focus in on the little wallaby. I'm sorry, the wallaby there. And I didn't like the tail. All of this highlight on the left side that I cropped out. Here, you can see my mouse. This left side, I had to crop all of that out and try and minimize these highlights. It's just too bad the sun was so strong. Just that's what's making this image off, are these really blown highlights. But came out okay. All right. Uh, oh, I'm sorry, Randy. I hope she gets better. Wow, that's see. We have one from Ian here, some woodland type photography. I've never been a fan of moss. Ugh, let's see. What would I do here? What do we shoot with? EM5 Mark II with a 12 to 100 Pro at f10. Wow. I get why you went f10 because you wanted everything here in focus. And you must be on a tripod because this says 8-second exposure. Wow. Interesting. Wow. Okay. So I think I'm going to get rid of this left and right side on the top. If I crop in, yeah, I know. I know. When my dad was in the hospital, he just wanted to come home. He didn't care, about the outcome. He hated being in a hospital. But of course, as his son and everything. You want the doctors to do everything they can. So he agreed, but yeah. Oh, you're gonna make me cry thinking about it. I'm just trying to get rid of some of the distractions in the image. Do a square. This little plant here is really the most interesting thing. Little blade of grass popping out in the middle. Maybe that'll do. Ugh, the other side. Go this way. Eh. Oh, I'm gonna go on this side. Okay. And the sharp back in. Get some. I wonder if dramatic tone would do something. Try that again. I don't know why dramatic tone is working today for me, but that's too much. Interesting. That's bringing out some of the tones in the moss. All right, let's work with getting some texture in. Okay, I'm gonna leave it there. And it hasn't finished rendering yet, but yeah. Uh, I feel like Ian, you really tried too hard on this image, but that's the best I could do with what was there is bring out the texture of the moss and then that one little blade of grass or whatever growing in between the roots was the only subject I could find in here. Because everything in this image is about texture, but there's not enough light. You don't have any side light or anything to really diversify the tones and texture of the image. So I just went with trying to find a subject and then use the textures and things as a backdrop. But okay, I think that looks okay. Let's go to the next one. And, oh, cool. Hmm. This is from Peter Breaks, EM10 Mark II with the kit lens, 19mm f7.1, dialed in. Oh, so you're trying to save the shadows here. You dialed in 2/3 of a stop EV, pattern metering. Okay. Um, so you are trying to save the highlights without blowing, or save the shadows without blowing the highlights too much. Let me just pop the colors to see where we're at. And yeah, that's fine. One other thing I can do is this dramatic tone. No, that's crap. We'll do pop art, but then back off the saturation. Oh, this is a JPEG, so I'm gonna have minimal latitude because all the yeah, I might have to go black and white because the with the JPEG, I'm not gonna be able to recover much on the shadows or highlights without jacking up the image too much. So I think that's all I can do with a JPEG. It'd have been nice to have the raw on this, because this white balance is weird too. Let me pull this down. Oh, this is a tough one. Okay, Randy, we'll see you later. Uh, I don't know. I mean, I like the composition. I wouldn't change anything there because the sky is just so dramatic. I just need to straighten it a tiny bit, maybe. I don't think I don't think going wider is a good idea, but maybe. I kind of like the original. Uh, oh, you'll watch Peter later. What is Peter doing something right now? Don't tell me Peter's live right now. I would be so upset. Um, oh, Peter's doing minimalism today. Is he live right now? Oh, I feel bad. I hate to overlap his streams. Okay, I'm gonna leave it here. There's a couple of versions we can do with this, right? I think black and white would work too. You know, black and white, maybe a red filter. But the color, to me, the color is nicer. Oh, Peter's critiquing minimalist shots. Dang it, I didn't realize that. But I'm gonna go with this. So let's look at it before and after. Um, I didn't do much. Basically saturated it a little bit. That's what it looks like. If I had the raw image, I could have probably done a little bit more with the shadows and bring them up. Uh, but that's about it. But it's really compositionally and scene and story and everything. This is really a great image. Um, so good job, Peter. Good job on this one. Oh, you're here. Um, yeah, I wouldn't change anything. I like everything about it. I would have, obviously I would have done HDR or bracket or something to really bring out the most of the scene because it's extremely high dynamic range. All right, let's do this one. Well, this is another one that's really good. Much to do. And this is great. I mean, maybe just the vertical. That's about it. Oh, and no, I have to pay attention to Peter's streams. 'Cause I could have done the photo editing later today instead of at the same time. But since I'm almost all the way done, I can't stop now, right? Okay, so I'm gonna do a vertical and yeah, there's some really great shots. There's a lot of great shots in here today. Maybe just pull in a little bit of contrast and then bring the midtones back in quickly. Let's try some gradation and saturation. Warm it up slightly. I know it's winter, but let's just go 5800, just a little bit. And then the question is, do I tilt this because the balloon is tilting? Just to give it a, but now it almost looks like stock art, right? Um, we need a little more color in the balloon. Do I have, let's do vivid. Just saturation. We'll crank the reds. Let's try dehaze. Bring a little more detail in the sky. Hmm. I don't like what the haze is doing to the mountains down here. And it just feels the balloon is going to have to stay crooked because now this scene feels a little bit crooked. Okay, I think I'll leave it here. Maybe just a little tighter off the top. And okay. All right, there's a before and after. Um, Again, I'm just making the balloon the subject. So it's really, but the landscape underneath is so beautiful. I wish I need to tone the blues back a little bit. All right, fine. Maybe less the haze. I'll just take the dehaze off. Screw it. Then crank up the reds and yellows and oranges. Okay, now I'm done. I didn't like how strong the blues were on the landscape part. And it was too sharp. I think it needs to be hazy relative to the balloon. But okay, I like both shots. So processing, cropping it either way with this processing, I think would look good. Oh, hey Steve, you're here. The sky was tough. Yeah, I did lose some of the sky. This, in Lightroom, I would easily bring the sky back in. Um, but I think for this shot, it's not really necessary because the sky is not the subject really. Um, but to bring the sky in, I'd probably have to lower the exposure. If I were using workspace, I'd have to lower the exposure, then crank up gradation or something. It's already cranked. I'd have to do it this way. Something like this. Get rid of that pin. And then go to luminance and just crank up yellows and reds and just everything on this side. And then crush the, well, not that much. Ooh. Yeah, this is where having a real photo editor would be better, right? Because then I could really bring the details out in the sky. Okay, let's go to the next one. But it's a great shot. All right, here we have just a basic stream. Oh, sorry, hold on a second. Hello? Oh, it's fine. Yeah, it feels good. The normal stuff. I'm in the middle of something now. Was there anything you wanted to? Oh, no, I don't need that. Yeah, I got some lotion that does the same thing. Yeah, cream. Yeah. Okay. Oh, okay. All right. Okay, fine. Oh, sorry. Give me a second. I'm sorry, guys. It's my mom. Let me do something real quick and I'll come back to this image. Okay. All right, let's go back to this image. Yeah, that's not a bad idea, Rick. But then, it's not a bad idea. I'll give that some thought. How you doing, Rick? I didn't know you were here. We should all be over at Peter's place because God, I got 4 more here and 2 more on Lightroom, and then wow, I'm gonna have to get busy here. This one I think is pretty straightforward. Pop art filter and crush the blacks a little bit more, and then back off the saturation just a tad. push the highlights for the water speculars. And then just soften it up a tiny bit by dialing in some negative sharpness. And vignette, and we're done. Yeah, I'm doing okay, Garrett. Thanks. I think that's it. So there's a before and after. Simple edit. Because there's nothing compositionally I can think of to improve this. This is a very, very tight shot, and it's about the about looking at the colors and the details of the water, I think. Or at least that's the direction I would go, is really punch the colors. But okay, simple one. Let's go to the next one. Oh, bird shot. Okay, another easy one. Um, let's do a square crop. Just come in tight on the bird, looking top left. And throw in some gradation. Sorry, I'm going to do these edits a little faster from here. Let's tilt it. Okay. All right, let's throw in some detail. Man, what is lens is this? 40 to 150 Pro. No wonder, it's really sharp. But we're gonna fake some sharpness here. We'll just do 1 pixel 10 here. Okay, pop art. And then back off a little bit here. And then play with the tone curve tiny bit for the shadows. Oops, wrong pin. Okay, and then a little bit warmer. Yeah, this branch, yeah, I agree, Tony. Okay, let's just throw in a vignette for the hell of it. And then call it there. Maybe a little tighter crop. And do a before and after. So let that render out so we can kind of see the sharpness a little bit. Yeah, that rendered quickly. So there you go. I think that that lens is amazing. That 40, I got to get me one of those. 40 to 150 Pro lens is so sharp. Even with the 1.4x teleconverter on there, it really preserves all the details even when you crop in. But yeah, let's see what we have here. We have one here from Peter Oddy or Odie. Oh, nice. Nice little family here. Um, there's a lot going on. It's so nice when you see a family out doing stuff. Let's just crop in balance this a little bit. Be a 4 by 5. Just to give some symmetry. The hat family, that's funny. I'm debating if we need to see. I mean, I like to give a little context of where they are. That kind of works. Struggling with the composition. Is that? No. Let's do that. And this one is probably a kit lens, right? 40 to 150, the kit. Yeah, at 150 f5.6. Because it's just a hair soft, so you're zoomed all the way out. And so we need to throw in the sharpness back in, maybe like this. Turn off this filter. And let's go with a fun filter like maybe a vintage. And give it a little more contrast. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go back and watch Peter's do it this way. Okay, maybe a slight vignette. I don't call it there. It's crooked, yes. You're right. Let me fix that. That's close enough. Maybe okay. All right, there's my before and after. So I just try to make it a little fun with the vintage art filter. And then compositionally, I didn't want to take away too much of the environment, but there was too much environment. So I just took about a third of that out and then focus on the family. I think that looks good. Okay. Um, like that would be a great shot for your photo album, right? All right, let's see. We have one here from Garrett. Oh, Garrett's back too, right? From picking up your kids. Oh wow, is that right, Rick? That's cool. That's Rick saying it's sharper with the teleconverter on it. Yeah, one day. I just don't have any money right now. I'm so broke. Uh, I like this the way it is almost, Garrett. It feels a little crooked because of the doorway. I mean, the door might be crooked, but um, yeah, it's hard to say, Randy. The colors are interesting. I don't know if I can separate any of the colors though. Let me see. Is that got these turkeys down here? So I'm gonna pull off the left side a little bit. I don't have my timer, nothing going on. I'm so out of practice here. Let's see if I can get a little closer in. Yeah, I like that. And then let's add some details. And this is a JPEG, so I don't have a lot of wiggle room. And it's really well exposed. What do we use? EM10, right? Oh, this is a Sony. That's right. Sony. Garrett has a Sony. And let's just pull. Just give it a little more grit. All right, let me see. The sharpening is a little too strong. Let's back that off. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, the old Sony A58, right? It's actually a really good little camera. They use the old tech. Isn't it? It's a very interesting technology wise too. I'm just trying to give it a little more grit. I can do that maybe with this. Let me do this, but then put a very high threshold, maybe like a 30. Yeah. All right. Let's do it before and after. I'm going to call it there. This didn't need a lot of work. It was already well exposed. The composition, I think, is great in terms of, lots of great information in the scene. I like the wood door framing on the left side. Let's look at it by itself. I mean, I didn't do much, but other than add some contrast, right, to the picture, so we don't really need to see a side by side. Um, yeah, I love all these old barrels and bases or whatever they are on this thing. This is such a great picture. Lots of great information. Uh, Pull your eye in. I just wish the colors were a little bit more distinct. Like this green tree, the reds on this barrel, the reds on the turkeys down here. There just wasn't quite enough separation of color for me to really go with something like that. Let me just try and crank up the saturation a little bit, like this. I don't know. I would definitely spend some time working with the colors, because the colors can get really, really interesting on this. Maybe a little bit in the hues too. Let me shift. Yeah, anyway, it gets very subjective from here, right? But let me shift the reds a little bit more, or the oranges a little more red. Oh, too much. But yeah, spend some time with the colors and stuff and see what you can do. There's a lot of wiggle room, especially if you have the raw image to kind of really make this kind of interesting. All right, okay, that was the last one there. Let's go into Lightroom. I think I saw a couple of more. And then we'll do the viewer images and then we'll call it. Oh, what's going on here? Okay. Yeah, really, yeah, Garrett, it was really nice. I really like the image. Let's see. So I did this one, this one. Okay, so there's these two. Oh, it looks like another one from Garrett. Oh no, Steve and Garrett. Boy, you guys both have the same camera. You both have an SLT 858. That's interesting. You and Steve. All right, this one I think I'll do black and white. And let's just crush the blacks, push the whites and the highlights, and little texture and clarity. We don't really need to haze here. Okay. And yeah, more texture. And just be a little bit off the left. Add some vignette. Just go very low key. Bring the highlights on that back. A little bit of feathering maybe. Okay. We'll split tone it. Let's see, we got shadows and highlights, right? So we'll split tone the shadows to be a little cooler. Highlights a little warmer. All right. And okay, I need a little bit more in the highlights. Maybe here. Yeah. Okay, it's hard to work with the, once I already pushed the blacks down. I think we're good. Raise the exposure. So there's the before and after. Um, yeah, I think just a black and white kind of gritty look to it because there's not much color. There's a little splash of green right here. I didn't see that. But yeah, I think that looks pretty good. Just the way it is. Maybe I should work on the sharpening a little bit. But yeah, overall, I think that looks good. Okay, last one. This is a Sony or Fujifilm from Surge. So Surge is going for some symmetry here. So let's try get this back. Let's do a 1 by 1. All right, and then from here, let me auto align it. Okay. And from here, no, let's pull it back a little this way. It's very, very soft. Add a little more haze. Try and keep a little color in. Okay. Now it's looking like a bleach bypass. I will leave the shadows there. That's fine with the highlights. Let's see. We'll keep this in the blues. Just a cool. Yeah, the midtones. I don't know. Let me spin that around now. I think I'll stay everything kind of cool. Even the highlights. Let's pull the highlights. Nah, we'll leave the highlights alone. And I don't think there's any saving the highlights. Yeah, that's fine. Oops, oops. Didn't mean to do that. Just making it very soft. Okay. Oh, hey, Victor. No, just send it as a, yeah, zip. I don't think zip files will upload, but if it does, I'd have to unzip it. I'll look for it. But yeah, just try to send the original image file, as a RAW or JPEG. Okay, I'm gonna go with this. So I cropped in to a square crop and went black and white basically, and didn't have to do much else because I think the mood is already pretty much there. I just softened it up a little bit, and that's it. Pretty straightforward. Uh, it's a cool shot, Serge. Yeah. Um, so let me see. Victor said he sent in as a zip file. Let me just see if I can find that real quick. Creative, where's um, what is that? No. Oh, here it is. Okay, I got it. Extract. All right, I got it, Victor. Let me synchronize this folder. Oh, did you send one too, Anne? I'll try and find it. Let's see. So the JPEG and the RAW. Okay. Peter's cracking on with this. Yeah, good. I feel really bad that I'm overlapping his video. But let me check for Anne's. Let me see if I can find Anne's thing here. Got it. Man, there's another one here from Matt too. I'm not going to edit these, but I'm just going to share them with you. All right, let me synchronize one more time and we're good. All right, so let's see. I need to do this one. That's an astro image. One. I know I saw yours, Anne. Give me a second. Yours was was like some castles. Oh, here it is. All right. So just a few more. Let me turn this one off. Turn that off. Okay, so this is an astro image. Wow. Nice and clean. Single shot. Who sent this in? Jason. Good job, Jason. Just a 50-second exposure with a 300 millimeter f4. So these are pretty straightforward to edit when it's a single shot. You just crush the blacks a little bit and, you know, increase the vibrance, saturation. Let's crop in to just this one cluster. I forget what it's called. And let's see, I did a little too much on the vibrance. Let's see if I can get some of the clouds in. Okay, that's a quick and dirty. There's a before and after. Maybe, let's see, white balance a little bit off. There. Um, okay. It doesn't really need any white balance, but Just brush in a little bit more of this nebula. Okay, now I'm done. So there's a before and after. Really amazing what you can do with a single shot, right? When you have good gear, like a 300 millimeter f4. Really nice. Okay, let's go to the next one. Thanks for sending that in. I forget who that was. Let me see. Jason. Thanks, Jason. That's a good shot. And then Matt, let's see. Oh, feeding the birds here. Pretty straightforward again. Let me just, oh, I need to sit back. Let me just auto this and just come in a little tighter so we can see the family feeding the birds. Just warm it up a little bit. And that's it. I think that's all that needs. So there we go. Just warm it up basically and crop in, right? And we're done. I think that's a nice family shot there. You know, because these kind of shots, like the other one I did, are just about memories, right? And these, you know, you want to remember who was there and what was going on. You don't need to see a billion birds. But okay, that was a nice shot. I'm sorry, who sent this? This was from Matt. Okay, from Matt. Nice shot, Matt. Okay, let's go to the next one. This is from Victor. Let's see. Wow, this is really a high dynamic range scene. I need to, oh, there is some clouds in there. So let me click auto. This is where we can use a graduate. I should be using workspace, but I'm gonna stick with Lightroom since I'm already here. Okay. Let's make that a little more foreboding, maybe a little warmer. Okay. And let me straighten this. Let me try the auto straighten. Yeah, sometimes it jacks it up. I think we don't need to see too much of the sky, if any. I may not keep it. It's a little bit of skewing error. All right, I don't want to spend too much time on that, but okay, let's do a little sharpening and call it there. Some masking there. Is it snowing? Is that what it is? It is snowing. Okay, I think, whoops, I think I'll call it there. So yeah, I cropped in, so now you can see it's snowing, and then just balance the exposure, shadows and highlights with a little graduated ND filter. Not ND, I'm sorry, graduated filter. Um, yeah, I think that works. Okay. And yeah, there's lots of nice detail in here. It's interesting. Okay. Sorry, who was that again? That was from Victor. Okay, Victor. Not bad. I think compositionally this image has a lot of challenges. Um, because of your point of view, you're not getting that depth, I think, that you really were looking for possibly. Um, and there's a lot of things going on down here that are very interesting. I love these old buildings, you know. So if there's any way to get down to that location and take pictures of these buildings and then use this as a backdrop. But the way it is now, it's almost like the landscape is the subject, and then the buildings in the front are just sort of the, you know, just some accents to the landscape. But everything is even, right? You have almost as much building and stuff as you do landscape. So now the two things are competing with each other. And also the train tracks are competing for your attention as well. So there's lots of competing elements in this image in terms of composition, and it's no clear direction of interest, I should say, that makes the picture interesting. There's a lot of individual elements that are interesting, but not as a whole. Now all of a sudden, those interests are all competing. So, like I said, you have landscape, you have that old interesting building, then the tracks, even these people down here with the umbrellas. You know, it's these are all competing for your attention. But just my opinion. But I think it's a cool shot overall. All right. Yeah, maybe get rid of the tracks. I mean, let's try square crop just for the heck of it. Um, if we do that, maybe, maybe that does help a little bit, but then the spacing's a little tight, too tight down here. But that's an interesting way to go as well. I mean, it's a really beautiful scene. They're hard to It's hard to capture sometimes the right moments. Let's see. This is the one I think from Anne, right? Okay, Anne. Wow, you've been here a long time. This was a castle. I see. So a little soft. Must be a kit lens. Let's see. Yeah, 14 to 42 at f5.6. Okay. So let me do just a quick auto alignment. And did that do anything? Not really. I'm gonna have to straighten it myself. Okay, and let's pull in the sky. Push the shadows a bit. Let's give it a little texture and clarity. Slight dehaze. And separate the colors a little bit. Maybe black and white. Yeah, I like black and white. All right, we'll go with that. I'm gonna have to brighten this up a little bit. Okay. The tower's leaning. It doesn't look leaning to me, but um, let's see how that looks. Okay, let's deal with some of this softness a little bit. Okay. All right, I think that's let's split tone it. Give it a little sepia like Lauren is saying. So we'll do shadows a little bit sepia. I mean midtones and shadows. And just keep the highlights slightly tinted blue. The lean is to the left. That almost looks like barrel distortion to me. But I will straighten it a little bit just for you, Lauren. All right. That's a little better. But it looks like a little bit of barrel distortion. Let me see if I can. I don't know if that's. I can't make it look right. Okay. Um, maybe lose the foreground, the sky. Okay, I can try that, Rick. I thought the sky was a little bit too bright relative to the rest of the scene. Um, and it sort of splits the horizon right in half. So that didn't look quite as pleasing to me. If I were to keep the sky maybe a vertical, on this side like this. No, I think I like my original better. Just come in. Maybe a little more dehaze for the sky. Push the shadows again. All right, so let's look at it before and after. Um, yeah, so basically going black and white and then bringing in the details, right? Because it was a little bit soft on this left side. So playing with the sharpness and texture and all that, I think it just feels a lot sharper with the contrast and all. And backing it off, let that render. But yeah, I think that looks pretty good overall. Really nice shot. Okay, oh, thanks, Randy. Thanks, Anne. All right, let's do the viewer edits. So there they are. And the original image, I can show you real quick, was wait a sec. There we go. Sorry, I got distracted with something. Let me pull up the original. Okay, here's the original. I I was struggling with this image myself. Just there was the trees were just too busy, and so I was thinking about a soft filter, yada yada, black and white, but ultimately I could not get a satisfying edit out of this. So that's why I gave it to you guys. See what you guys could do for me. So let's go to the edits here. And so this one, yeah, nice clean edit. Brought up the shadows and some of the textures. Let me just make sure it renders sometimes. Yeah, I like it. Nice and clean. But again, this is ultimately this image is not that great. I mean, the editing is good, but the image itself is not that great. So I don't think this editing works for this image for me. Um, and that's the problem I was having, Hasib, is it's an interesting image, but it needs the right editing. And although you did a good job with the editing, I don't think it's right for this image. If that makes any sense. But it looks good. Now this is interesting. I thought about this myself. This is a crop into right here where there's a little bit of a story with these three trees growing against it and the ladder in between. Um, I like this, but I should have used a different lens to get more detail so we could have a little more flexibility. But I like this crop, but something is still not quite right. This could use a little more editing. So this is from John Follows. Okay, John. So you and I were on the same page. Black and white. Yeah, that I like this crop a lot, but the editing side needs some work somewhere, somehow to make this even more dramatic, I think. And I like this edit actually. It really focuses in on the building and pulls, basically reduces all of the distraction of the stream and the trees to some extent. This is pretty good. I'd have liked it a little bit warmer on the white balance side, but this is good. I bet this is a Marcel. He's really good at working with light. I knew it. Good job, Marcel. That's a good edit. Yeah, it's rendered. So yeah, this looks good. Um, Still not quite, I think, quite there yet. And this is Marcel again, I assume. Nice black and white. Kind of the same approach, but going black and white, right? Just minimizing the distractions. So this is about as good as it gets, honestly, with this image. Oh wow, look at this. This is interesting. Very, very gritty. So, you know, normally that would make all of the trees and the streams and everything more distracting, but in this case, you cropped all of that out and just made the building very gritty, which I think works. I wonder if black and white would look good in this. No, no. Um, Sorry, I hit the wrong button. That's a nice edit. I like cropping in and getting rid of everything. Okay, Jeff, not bad. I like it. All right, another crop on these three trees and the ladder. This is a little more interesting crop than before because it captures more of the building, and I like the processing. I think this is about 90% there for me. I like this. At least in terms of thinking alike, I think we were thinking about 90% the same here. Um, oh, Matt. Okay, Matt. So you and I were on the same page here, and I like the processing. It's almost a pastel kind of look to it. Did it render? Yeah, it's rendered. So yeah. Lauren says in real estate, do they call this a light and airy layout? Yes. Open floor plan. That's what I would call it. It's an open floor plan. Very open. But I like this. Yeah, fixer upper. It's another common term, right? And this is very similar to the one we just saw a couple back, right? Yeah, this it's the same one. Interesting. I wonder why it got downloaded twice. One is a TIFF, and this one is a, I don't know, that's weird it came in twice. Okay, this came in twice. Oh wait, it's not coming in twice. I got the things selected. Ooh, nice one. Really nice. A little heavy-handed on the sky up here, but I like the processing for black and white. This works for me. Um, who sent this in? Good job, Scott. I like this. This has got, this is very, very good black and white processing. Um, let's go to the next one. Yeah, good job. Little partial color action. I like that. Um, that's pretty awesome. Who is this? This was Scott again, right? Oh, good job, Scott. I like the square crop too. And wow, I really like this. I mean, this is similar to some other ones, but this has a little something to it. I'm not sure what it is. Some some kind of crispiness about it. Steve, good job. Steve G. This is great processing. I just can't put my finger on it. What it is. This looks like Steve again. But maybe not. This, yeah, this is interesting too. Who is this from? This is from Scott again. I like your other edits, Scott. The other ones you did back here are more interesting. This one is sort of okay. Oh, another like muted partial color kind of thing. This is cool. So this, you know, you're getting rid of the distractions by making your eye go to the colors instead of the rest of the scene. This is not bad. And I like the 16 by 9 crop. Joni, good job, Joni. This is a good edit too. It really, these edits kind of grow on you a little bit when you look at them for a while. It's not like one is better than the other. Uh, it's just they're really good edits, each in their own way. Like, and this is another one that's really interesting. I mean, the framing helps, the white frame, and yeah, softening up. And but this, the problem that I'm having with this is the blue rocks against this red brick. And like I said, and that's my fault, you know, the image. But who did this? Steve Page. Good job. I like the muted look on the building itself. I think muting the rocks a little more, this would blend a little better. But I like the white framing and the square crop. Wow. This is strong. Very strong colors. Like almost like a pop art. This is from Image Writer. Good job, Image Writer. Really nicely saturated images or colors. Ooh, wow, that's different. This works for me. I like how these three trees again with the ladder are for me where the story is in this image somehow. I don't know why, but to me that's what I like the most. And this is putting it front and center in the image. This is from Randy. Good job, Randy. I like this. Nice and tight crop. But then you're hitting on the one thing I like the most about this image was right here, right in the center. All right, Plato, you got to go. I know it's been, God, almost 3 hours. This is good too. Wow. Really, really something. Very muted colors. Good job, Garrett. Really nice edit. And this has got to be Garrett too. Just going black and white, right? Yeah. A little bit of sepia. Looks good. I'll try not to do too much commentary. We'll let the images speak for themselves, right? And this is good. Nice warm golden hour type look to it. HKM, good job. And oh, soft focus with see this tree on the left was interesting too. I think I think this is a good crop because yeah, the tree this I saw this tree also when I was doing my when I was looking at this image, and I decided not to go with this tree on the left, but apparently you did. Who is this? Serge. Okay, Serge. Yeah, I saw this tree too, but I wasn't. I decided to go with the three trees on the right. A few have been edited with Affinity Photo. Okay, and Randy did an HDR FX. Yeah, I liked yours, Randy. It was good. This one is this has got a very soft cartoonish look to it somehow. Who did this one? Ian. Because when I look at the brick up here, oh, I can't zoom in, but yeah, Ian's having the same problem I had with this image where there's just so many distractions. So you crop in and you minimize either the color palette or the details somehow. Because this almost looks almost borderline cartoonish to me. But that's another way to minimize things, right? And was that the last one? Yeah, that was it. Okay. Wow, so I really got to everybody's images today. I can't believe it. It's been 3 hours, but honestly, I feel pretty good. My neck is not aching or anything at all, which is a really good sign that I'm getting better. So anyway, I think I'll go down and lay down and watch Peter Forsgaard's video. I feel really bad. I missed his live stream. I always like watching his critiques and everything, but being live is always more fun, right? So anyhow, you guys have a good week. I will be back, I don't know, again, maybe Thursday if I'm still feeling good like I am today. I'll be back on Thursday with a normal photo chat, if not sooner, and then of course Sunday. But great editing on my image, and a lot of great pictures came in today, and it was a lot of fun editing. So thanks for sending those in for me to edit. I always enjoy it. But you guys have a good week. I'll see you again soon.